Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, and here's my review of Black Adam DC Comics. Now, I really enjoyed this film, guys, and look, it does have its flaws, but overall, I'll give you my opinions on the film and what I thought about it, and a little bit of history as well. Now, he was one of the countless enslaved forced by their tyrannical king to mine their land for Eternium. Now, they didn't really go too much into Eternium, so I'll try and do that here. It's a glowing rare metal. Its properties is never really spelled out in the film, but it looks kind of like spice or dilithium, and it can actually hurt Black Adam. It doesn't affect him as much as kryptonite affects Superman, but Eternium actually comes from the remains of the Rock of Eternity. We saw that in the Shazam movie where all the thrones were for the team. Now, Eternium can be forged into powerful magical artifacts, like Adriana's necklace or the crown of Sabak, which we've seen in the movie. But when you saw the weapons and when you saw the light cycles, all of that is powered by Eternium. So you can see now that they can play about with it in a matter of ways. Now, no one dared to rise up against the king and the oppressors in fear of death. But Black Adam's earlier scenes details how all of that changed one day thanks to Teth Adam's son, Herod. Now, what this film doesn't actually tell you is this, and this is a very smart way, the writing of the film is not great by any means. But one of the things I did like about the writing and the plot was that they actually gave themselves a get out clause. Because if anyone had any continuity issues with the comics and this film, that doesn't actually matter. Why? Because this isn't actually the original Black Adam. The original Black Adam was actually Herod, which was his son. And what we find out later on in the film was that his son actually transfers his powers to his father, which is Teth. You can make his father anything you want. You can make him an anti-villain. You can do anything you want because this now sets a new path for this character with no backstory. So I thought that that was a very smart and intelligent way for the writers to portray this character moving forward. That he can be someone who is different. Siding with his backstory makes you cheer for Black Adam because you see the slavery and the way how the people was mistreated by the king. And the film gets that part right. It's a very important part of understanding him as a character. And his son's act of defiance sparkled that revolution. Now we move forward 5,000 years in present day after Professor Adriana Thomas, which is played by the wonderful Sarah Sahi. You guys remember her from Person of Interest. Absolutely enjoyed her as well. She wakes him up from centuries of long sleep by saying the words Shazam. And for those who haven't read the comics, now Black Adam does never ever say those words. The reason for that is Billy Batson is 15 years old and he's a human. So changing into Shazam and back doesn't affect Billy at all because he doesn't have any risks because he'll just change from Shazam into a 15-year-old boy. But in the comics, Black Adam is 5,000 years old. His humanoid form is old and withered away. So if he changes back, he'll instantly die, which you've seen in a few comics and the actual DC AU film, which is Shazam versus Superman. We've all seen that. Now, Shazam defeated Black Adam in that way by using the word Shazam and having the lightning changing Black Adam back into his normal humanoid self, and then he withers away. But I think the reason why they get out of that with this film is because the prison chamber that they stored him in, I believe that preserved his life. I believe that transformed him into the magical energies, and then that's what they used to trap him away. So I think that that's how they can get away with that in this film. And while there's a villain version of the character, there's also an anti-hero one as well, and that plays itself out. So Warner Brothers and Dwayne Johnson have taken a different route here, introducing a very different villain to set up the potential sequel. Presumably, after all of that, we'll get a Shazam and a Black Adam crossover everyone has been waiting for. As Darla said, she can't wait to welcome the person in the missing chair. But that's on hold simply because they want now Black Adam front and center with the Justice League and Superman rather than Shazam, because Justice League and Superman is a much more bigger property than Shazam. And if Dwayne Johnson wants to make his mark in DC, then this is the way to do it. So I'm all in agreement with that. It's a shame, but I understand it. Black Adam and Shazam is one of the oldest rivalries in comics. Remember, guys, Black Adam first appeared in Fawcett Comics, the Marvel Family comic book in 1945. DC Comics later licensed and acquired Fawcett comic characters in the 1970s. So Black Adam is the predecessor to Shazam. His initial version, Black Adam is gifted the powers by the wizard Shazam. However, he is corrupted by his extreme power and overthrows the Egyptian Thara. So they have changed the story to make you sort of sympathize with him. And as I said, it's actually a different character this time around, not his son. Now, DC Comics has revised Black Adam's origin twice already, 1994 and again in 2011, with the launch of the New 52. But in both versions, Black Adam is a former slave, so that's the reason why the movie takes that route. Now, the film picks up on this, and we actually care about what happens to him, because there's a time in the comics where Black Adam actually helped the Justice Society of America in a battle with the Sin Eater, and he actually received a JSA membership. So eventually that could be where things end up in the movies. Now the film delivers on big set pieces, which are real fun, guys. Massively fun. And I enjoyed seeing Dwayne Johnson rocking his way to kicking some ass and some wonderful set pieces. Now the pace and the propulsion of the film was very, very good. So don't worry, you'll enjoy the fan service. Don't worry about that. There are plenty action sequences that you will enjoy. And for me, that was well worth it. But the script is messy, guys, and leaves a lot to be desired. So it doesn't mean we didn't enjoy the film. Of course we did, as a whole. But the story and the dialogue is very subpar. And it's super fun, though. The action is well worth the price of admission. Nobody complains when they watch the Fast and the Furious films. And again, Hobbs and Shaw. That gave us a lot of fun too. But you have to go into these films with a mindset that you're going to enjoy the action, what's on offer. If you're looking for an Oscar-worthy film on the level of DC's Joker, this ain't it. This ain't that kind of movie. It's a mess, but it's an enjoyable mess. And that's the reason why I think this film's a lot of fun. And did you all get the Easter egg with Adriana Thomas as well? She plays DC character Egyptian goddess Isis. And Isis had her own live-action TV series in 1975 to 1976. I believe it ran on the CBS Saturday morning superhero lineup. But if you didn't see that, then you guys would have seen Isis on CW Smallville with Erica Durance. The goddess was trapped inside an amulet set for centuries until she possessed Lois Lane. So we have heard and seen her around. What this could mean moving forward is that we could see her with her own movie, or, even better still, HBO Max TV series like Peacemaker. Now, she's the key to Black Adam as much as Lois Lane is for Superman. She really does believe that the anti-hero should see the world from a softer and more enhanced perspective, inspiring him in many ways to transform into a much better version of himself. And I believe that's where we end the film. If they bring her back, she could share her powers with him like Shazam shares his powers with the Shazam family. This would be a level of consistency from the comics. And remember, guys, she is one of the most powerful females in the DC lineup, along with the likes of Wonder Woman. They share very much the same powers. So let's talk about the ending. Wow! Now, this was worth the price of admission alone. The Warner Brothers originally got rid of Henry Cavill, who the fans loved as Superman. You know, there's no Man of Steel 2 script at this point. There hasn't been for a long time. But they're waiting to see how this film goes before committing to releasing a date and bringing a writer on board. But this happened all because of one man, and that's Dwayne Johnson. When he asked at Comic-Con whether Superman would be in the film, because of the lack of answer, he was booed from his own fans. And you can see this is what forced his hand, and here we are. Dwayne Johnson said last week that they are listening to the fans, and he has done just that. By bringing Superman back, this is exactly what everybody wanted. So what happens at the end of the film is, after saying no one on Earth could stop him, Viola Davis's Amanda Waller sends the anti-hero a threatening message, claiming she will call in someone who isn't from Earth to handle his immense powers. And yes, that was Superman. Henry Cavill returns to Superman suggests he would reappear in a potential Black Adam sequel. And if that's what the fans want, then go out and support this film. If it's comic book action you want at the highest level, they've got it. And they will have a battle royale that would make Marvel Civil War look like a tea party. So I gotta talk about the visuals in this film, guys. The visuals are amazing. And you know, got DC always deliver when it comes to visuals. In the first 10-20 minutes, it looked like it was a Zack Snyder film. That's how good the visuals were. I was a little disappointed with the audio though. I liked some of the music scores, I liked some of the tracks, but at times I thought the actual sound mix was a bit too quiet. You know, when you're looking for those large explosions and those big special effects reels, I didn't get that. You know, I think that the sound mix on this film was quite poor, if I'm honest. So it didn't really have that. You didn't really get the thumping energy flowing through your body as you would with, say, a Hans Zimmer score or maybe a Junkie XL. So I was a little disappointed with the score. But the film visually works because this is the Justice Society working with Amanda Waller along with the Suicide Squad. Now, having a team that battles with the Justice League could be box office. So we could see Dwayne Johnson getting his chance to make sure that fans get just what they want. Now, how much James Gunn and J.J. Abrams has to do with this is anyone's guess. As Hawkman said, there's only heroes and villains. There's no in-between. And Waller, Amanda Waller, lives in that morality grey area. She's also played a bad guy before we saw in the Suicide Squad movie. But she does that to do good. And Waller realised that no one on the Suicide Squad was powerful enough to take on Black Adam at this stage. Now, Dr. Fate sacrifices himself and was killed by Sabbac. But because he can see the future, and he knows all these powers were granted to him by the helmet, which is simultaneously a blessing and a curse. Now, Hawkman takes Dr. Fate's helmet in hand before it disappears. However, before disappearing, the helmet bonds with Hawkman, and a superhero is able to create mirages like Dr. Fate. So there will always be a Dr. Fate, guys, because the helmet is passed down from ages to ages. So there's a chance that the helmet will stay in hiding until it finds a new bearer. Which, if you've actually watched Young Justice on HBO Max, you'll know that one of the kids can become a user. So this could be where Adriana Tomaz's son plays a part. Now, we have to talk about him. I didn't think the scenes with him in the film were that great. I thought some of them were very cheesy. But if you look at the way how the comics are, it was Adriana's brother who shared the powers of Black Adam, not her son. So they can either do two things with this guy. They can either make the son grasp the powers of the helmet, or they could just give him part of the Black Adam power, of the Shazam power. So that's the things that they can do with him. So let's just talk about the Easter eggs. So guys, I gotta tell you, this film is intense. It is brutal from beginning to end. You see body parts flying off. I can understand why they downgraded the rating a little bit, because they took the blood out. So you don't see blood squirting around all the, you know, I don't think there's probably any need for that in a film like this, because you just see him pulling body parts off. You see arms, legs, limbs just flying around the whole place. And this guy doesn't pull his punches. You know, Dwayne Johnson, he brought it. He brought it. And the film doesn't apologize for that. But what I like about this, one of the Easter eggs is we see Agent Amelia Harcourt, the NSA agent who worked with Amanda Waller's daughter at Argos in order to monitor Task Force X. We saw this in Peacemaker, and she does make her appearance here as well. So I thought that was a nice touch. Also, guys, the superhero Cyclone, I don't think that they delved into Cyclone very much. She's got an IQ of 179, and they didn't really do much with her intelligence in the film. But she was first appearing in the comics in Alex Ross's Kingdom Come as the daughter of Red Tornado. So for those of you who don't know who Cyclone is, yes, she's actually the daughter of the Red Tornado in the comics. And there's a fight scene in the kid's bedroom with posters. I love that Easter egg with the Justice League superheroes. And you can see Black Adam sort of punching Wonder Woman, Flash, Superman, Batman, And Aquaman, all of the posters in the room, you know, he just smashes them to pieces. So I did enjoy that. And there's also another fight scene where we see on television The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly with Clint Eastwood. And Black Adam watches that on the television, and then he goes further into that reference by later on having to fight several Intergang guards, and Black Adam's looking like he's in the wild, wild west with the duel. The soundtrack even plays out, and he focuses his hand into the shape of a gun, and then bolts the lightning as fire shots and uses that as sort of him taking down all of the bad guys. I thought that scene was really good, akin to the actual western that we just watched. But I have to talk about something they didn't cover very well in the film, which is nth metal. Nth metal, guys, is an incredibly potent substance from the DC universe. This super metal originates from the alien planet Thangar, which is Hawkman's planet, and it's closely associated with Marvel's vibranium, but it's much more powerful than vibranium. It's actually magical and can grant the user a wide array of powers and abilities. Now, Hawkman's gift of flight, super strength, super speed, enhanced durability all stem from their connection to the mythical metal. It can even fight off ghosts, spirits, and spectres. In its purest form, organic nth metal, which is what we saw in the film, can change its shape at will and morph into different forms that its user needs. In the film, you see Hawkman was able to make all sorts of weapons and equipment, like the ship, you know, his thoughts alone turning the mace into an axe. And the metal can also form a symbiotic relationship with the individuals that wield it. Now, nth metal, when asked about the ship's composition, Hawkman says everything in the ship is made from nth metal, including the screws. And as I said, the metal is gravity defying, so you saw the ship doesn't really need any help to glide or fly or anything like that, because nth metal controls everything in that way. It's very special. We've not seen a ship like that in comics. The closest I can think of is probably BBC's Farscape series, where we knew the ship was alive and it was organic. Now, both the armor and the weapons also respond to these mental waves of its owner. And as I said, Hawkman is kind of like Iron Man and Thor put together. Now, the harness is made from nth metal, but like Thor's hammer, which has magical properties, Thor can call on his hammer mentally, and Hawkman commands nth metal in the same way. So the way how the wings work and everything else works through his mental commands. Now, as I said previously in this review, they didn't talk about his ability to reincarnate. Hawkman is thousands of years old, guys. He cannot die. If his body dies, his spirit is reincarnated into another life form. Which is the same if he's the love of his life, Shayera, Hawkgirl, who also was not mentioned in this film. Another Easter egg is, guys, did you see in his ship, the symbol for Thangarian looked like the one from the Thundercats? I thought that was really good. I did enjoy that. But the Superman Easter egg, and this is two big Easter eggs here, guys, this is the first time we've heard the John Williams music score instead of the Hans Zimmer. So I thought that was a nice touch. And it's also the first time that we see Henry Cavill with their black hair curl on his forehead. Something we haven't seen since, well, Brandon Routh. It's been that long. So it has been a long time coming. So those are some nice touches in the film. Overall, guys, I'm going to give this film a healthy 7.9 out of 10. I really enjoyed it. And sure, as I said, it's not the best script and the dialogue isn't great. Even though the one thing I liked about this, Marvel films overly use and force a lot of humor. And that's the reason why some of it drops and some of it doesn't. In this film, they didn't use a lot of humor, but when they did, it dropped. And it was refreshing to see that. You know, the film does have a serious tone, but it does have its sort of light moments where the humor is spot on every single time that they drop. And Dwayne Johnson has a lot of fun with that. Look, he was born to play this role, and I think it's something that fans will enjoy. He's got a big, massive following from his films, movies, his wrestling, and everything else. And all those people who love Dwayne Johnson will love this film because he's just having so much fun in it. But let me know what your thoughts are, guys, in the comment section below, and I'll speak to you in the next one. Peace out.